Good morning. It's me, Valerie, and it's Friday the 13th. So I figured out why things have been so cattywampus in the house. There's always weird energy leading up to the 13th. Oh, so I figured since it's Friday the 13th, maybe we can talk about a weird subject. I like weird subjects. I like things that people can't explain. Um, the only thing is I don't want to get too weird because I don't know how to explain some of the things that happen, but like for example, I know that there's a big thing about people going missing in the wilderness, and I know living really near to one of those wilderness areas in the mountains up by Baker, there's a lot of areas, even public used areas, where you could just fall off a cliff or drop into a mine shaft. Nobody'd know where you were. Can't explain why people don't hear you calling, but whatever. So I don't really know if it's aliens or some other weirdness. Also, there's tends to be animals out there, big animals that can pull you up into a tree. Um, though some of the disappearance things that I watched do seem to sound more like some kind of weird abductions. There's really no evidence that it's aliens. I mean, there's no evidence that it's anything. That we can prove. It's because if it is a person, they're very smart. If it is something else, they're also very smart. Um, so the evidence is probably not going to be there whenever you find the person, or you know. Um, but yeah, I don't really want to get too far into that because I don't really have too much of an explanation for what's going on there. Just other than to say there could be something that's more natural and not quite supernatural. I mean, it could be supernatural. I don't know. I'm not out there. I don't like to go into anywhere near some of the areas where this happens because it just got this feeling like you shouldn't be there. And the nature doesn't usually feel that way to me. Um, it usually seems inviting, and if it's not, then you just don't go there because that typically means something has happened there, or there's something there that means you harm, whether it's a people or an animal or something else. It means you harm. But I figured we could talk about maybe aliens. I know that there's not really any give and take because it's not alive and I don't really have a following yet. I'm working on that though. I'm trying to get less spacey. Trying to create some content people might be interested in. I'm just not sure what to do, and I would like to do some advice on that one. My brain is still a bit flaky. See Gigi in the back. Isn't he cute? He says happy Friday 13th. He's cleaning himself because he's a cat and always cleaning. Um, but yeah, like people are always talking about, is there aliens and stuff? Could the aliens be doing some of this stuff that we don't understand that's happening that just doesn't make any sense? Well, it's possible. I'm just not sure why an alien would travel what billions of miles we think that would be the closest place for something anywhere near us. Um, just to like kidnap some weird farmer and do weird bad stuff. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not saying they didn't because I don't know what their motivations are, and it could have been something that was part of a bigger something. But I think that there's probably my personal beliefs on aliens is that they are out there. Some of them may have made it here, and they might be a parent race, and they might be like watching us and helping us grow. And some of them probably aren't real friendly because we would probably not even be made of the same stuff. Because if they developed somewhere else, they'd have completely different conditions, and there's a possibility that the conditions could have been right for life to develop with stuff that is completely contradictory to life here on Earth. But I think that more basic, more stuff that can be more provable is that there probably is life out there. There's probably life on any structure that could hold it. It's but the thing is, it's probably bacterial. It's probably just little microscopic little buggy things floating around in these weird environments that we can't survive in. and then we probably can't even go and prove that they're there, which is why people think that they're not there. But for something like us, I'm not sure that that would probably be rare for varying reasons. Like the temperatures have to be just right. Everything has to be just right to allow something to get complicated like us. And there's just not a lot of evidence that there are tons of planets with the possibilities of supporting life on the level that's us. Um, but we haven't been out there. I mean, we really haven't even left our planet, so we don't really know what's out there. I mean, I think we've gone to the moon, and float around, got people floating around living in space. So we know how to live in space. We just don't know much about it. Getting out there and figuring out who's out there and what their intentions are. Because I know that the going out into space is probably one of the most ethical ways to deal with the overpopulation on Earth, because it doesn't involve having to kill anybody or let some virus take over or anything weird that people might find controversial or threatening. Because I mean, you could kill off all the criminals, but that's not going to be enough people for the overpopulation. And then it, and then who else? I mean, who's who's in charge of who should die and who should live? And that's just doesn't seem ethical. But if we go out into space and we figure out how to live in space, then we can probably just have colonies out there in space away from our solar system out there, like big city ships that function like cities. You get like farms and stuff, and because we're gonna need to eat something, we're gonna need to replenish our oxygen. Um, so if you had like a big city ship, you'd have to have like a big farm too, or a couple levels that are big farms. Um, I don't know that we even have enough metal to build anything that would be that big, but people were talking about going out and farming asteroids and stuff, because we know there's all kinds of cool stuff on the asteroids. There's Mr. G in the background. He's so cute. You're so cute, Gigi. Um, but yeah, I think right now we should probably be looking at going to Mars. We could build something that's like a space RV. They already kind of have something like that. It's can't remember. It's black and white shuttle things that they just drive them up like an airplane and they go off into space. And they've got like a cabin, like a living area, and then they've got like a cargo bay. We'd need something like that to be like a space RV kind of thing. Maybe a little bit bigger than those, because if we do go up to, say, Mars, we're going to need to set up some kind of colony settlement, some safe area for people to be, because it's not that safe out there. And we're going to need to set up gardening and all that kind of stuff. Somebody was talking about doing robots first. That might be a good idea. Put some of the robots up there, and then they can get the environment we'd need going, because you'd need greenhouses and you'd need. So I don't really know if sunlight even gets in through the atmosphere in Mars. I mean, it probably does. It just doesn't look like here. Um, but like the winds, you'd have to find like a, an indentation so that you'd have at least some protection from the winds. You'd have to have thick barriers on your buildings. Probably even have to have barriers on your little space RV thing. And then you'd have to yeah, you'd have to be able to have the greenhouses going, because you're going to need food, you're going to need oxygen, you're going to need all kinds of stuff. I don't know when we're going to actually be able. It'll probably be a little bit before you can bring animals up there, because they need such a big space, and I don't really know that you could really put a big space up there. I mean, like, other than cats and dogs, because cats and dogs don't need that much space. They just wouldn't really be able. I don't think they'd like the anti-gravity and being in the spaceship. But you just yeah. But you could probably bring them up at some point, because it takes a little bit to go up there, and I don't really know if we can invent artificial gravity, because that's kind of weird. But I don't really know how that would work. I'm not really scientific minded. Um, or at least not. I'm more of an artist. I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know like details on some of this more complicated stuff. But you could probably bring animals up there at some point when you got it big enough, and you'd probably want to do things like some really hardy evergreen type plants, like bonsai trees, and there's a few evergreens that grow up on the mountains that would probably do okay because they're pretty hardy. They don't need as much and they grow pretty quickly. Um, they can live in the weirdest environments. So get some plants like that and kind of put it on your walls, and like this little forested area that'll help that area to get what it needs. And then as things are going, like doing oxygen exchanges with the greenhouses and stuff like that. And then it would be a slow process, but you could probably get something going on, because as you start getting more oxygen in the environment, you could start planting more things. And at some point, if the temperatures go up, you'll probably have to move, especially if you're in an old riverbed or an old canyon, because you're probably going to get flooded out. Um, but hopefully the winds, you can get the environment to where the winds aren't like I think it's 400 miles an hour they're saying the winds are on Mars. And it's just crazy. But yeah, that's that's my theory on it. But there probably are aliens out there, and we probably can go out and talk to some of them, and some of them might even be interested in taking some of us out there. And I just don't know enough about them. I don't know what the government actually knows. I don't know what they're actually up to. So I'm not gonna say, hey, the aliens are your best friend. Because you don't really know whose ship that is. Um, but I'm also not really sure that, like I said, I'm not really sure that they're coming here from what 40 billion miles away just to like, poke us. Um, Somebody was joking that they might get drunk and mess with us, but I don't know. That's pretty far to go if you're drunk. I think you would sober up before you got here, but I don't really know how they work. So, um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's aliens out there. I'm pretty sure there's something that might resemble us. I'm just not sure where they would be or if they're still there. Because that's one of the theories, is that something might have happened. We might have like our parent race. I know it's the Ancient Aliens theory, but we might have our parent race, and that they came here for some reason, maybe looking for resources to try to fix something that's going on their home planet. And the theory is that they haven't been back because they didn't, whatever was going on with their home planet, they were unsuccessful. So they're either out there just trying to figure out how to live in space, how to sustain their lives in space because they can't go back to their planet, or they actually did come back and there was no fanfare and we are them now. Um, but I mean, proving that's going to be kind of difficult because whatever, if they are our parent race, then it's going to look, you're not going to see their DNA. You're not going to know that you're seeing their DNA anyway when you're looking at us. So that's a thing. But I don't really know what happened. I don't know how we got to be how we are, what's special about us. Um, it's a very big question. And there's just a lot of stuff that we don't understand about the space because it's huge. It's big. There's so much. You just can't really put your mind around how much is out there. We could learn all about our galaxy, and then we still wouldn't even know half of the stuff that's out there to know, because there's just so much stuff out there. There's just a lot going on out in space. So there's really, even if there's only like one race of people like us in a galaxy, there's still like billions of galaxies. Just not really sure why anybody would want to come that far. Like I said, I don't know why they'd come that far just to like poke at us. And how would they know to come here? Because they've been reported to come here before we had radios. Um, unless of course that parent race thing is a thing. Because maybe they found us looking for resources and made us better. Who knows? I wasn't around back then, so I can't really say too much about it. Um, though it does seem like we had a little help to get here. I'm not really certain who helped us. I don't know. Like a lot of different cultures talk about gods. Who are the gods? Who knows? We don't know the answer to that. A lot of us believe that we will find out the answer when we pass away, but then we can't come back and tell you. Um, because it's just, you can't really tell people when you're dead because you're on a totally different realm of existence. Like you go from being a physical form to an energy to energy being, and I don't even know if we can. I don't know how well I should say that we can interact with the other side, and that's part of the reason why you hear all these ghost stories. People could be trying to come back and tell us stuff like who God is and what's really going on and what really happened to them and all this kind of stuff, but most people don't really perceive them very well because most people's brains can't perceive them, and then the ones who can freak out because they just saw this ghosty thing. Um, who knows? Um, it's one of those things where it's probably real, but can't really prove it. Ghosts, it's because they're, like I said, totally different thing. They're in a totally different plane of existence. Once you leave your body, you become, most people believe spirits some kind of energy, and then that energy goes off to wherever, unless you get stuck here or you try to come back and talk to people. You can, I do believe that they can talk to us. It's usually through dreams because that's when you're more open, but I don't think that they're like walking up and like throwing dishes across the room. Um, though I suppose if they had the right kind of energy, they could probably do that. But well, I don't think they do. It's just like aliens. Like it's hard to believe that they would come all the way from wherever they are just to like poke us. Um, but the interspecies breeding program theories do make a little bit of sense. If they think they're dying and they think they can interbreed with us somehow, whether it's physical or artificial, then they're probably going to be doing that kind of stuff. I just don't know on what level, and I'm not sure who they would pick. Um, so that's the thing. I'm not saying they're doing that. Because I don't know what they're doing. They could be like watching us or something. They could just be studying us. This could be like a zoo planet. It could be all kinds of stuff. I think I'm getting off on a tangent again. But yeah, the aliens are probably real. I just don't know that some of the things people are saying about them is true. I think there's always people like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. Uh, that's not what's going on. And then there's always going to be somebody that's like, it is what's going on. Here's some crazy story. And they're both different types of deflection to try to get us to think weird stuff. And I'm not like a conspiracy nut or anything. So I don't know that people have their own motivations for the way that they behave, and some people are probably involved with some crazy conspiracy that we can't, that we're just, well, when it finally comes out, because stuff like this almost always does, the people are just gonna be like, whoa, what? And then, but um but I think most people just have opinions that they formed over the years from either being told certain things or just them picking up information from their environment and going, putting it together. Whether they did it right or wrong is kind of, we'd have to actually talk to the aliens to find out, and I'm not sure how easy it would be to talk to the aliens because like I said, there's some of them could be like made up of completely different things than we are, and then that might mean that they would communicate on a completely different level than we would, and we wouldn't probably be able to communicate with them very well, and we wouldn't probably aren't speaking the same language either, so that's kind of where the communication barriers would be, is you can't really be like, what are you doing here? You know, they're gonna try to respond, but you know, it's not gonna make any sense to us. Um, but it's gonna. I don't know that we could even prove it because if they can make it here from billions of miles or light years or however you wanted to say it away, then their technology is probably so advanced that we're not going to be able to catch them. Even if we see them, we won't be able to catch them unless on film. And then in modern day technology, they're going to claim it's like photoshopped or something. Because they can do some pretty cool stuff with technology these days, make things look like they're happening when they're not. And so that's a thing. But yeah, I think they're real. I think they might be checking in on us. I just don't know what they're doing, and I don't know that we could really talk to them unless they're like psychic or something. But then you'd have to have people that were susceptible, I guess, to psychic perceptions. And you'd want to make sure that those people aren't like crazy or something, because yeah. And also the other thing is that there's potentially millions and billions of different races, so there's potentially millions and billions of different motives, and we may not even understand some of their motives because we don't think like they do, because we're not from their culture, except might not even be made up of the same stuff. So I don't know. That's an interesting thing. What do you guys think? Do you think aliens are buzzing around out there trying to get us? Maybe they're studying us or something? I know it's a loaded question, but it's a Friday the 13th question. Everybody's all spooky. Oh, so I guess I'll go on to something a little more positive. Remember, black cats are not bad luck. If you see a black kitty, pet it. And they're so cute. This guy purrs all the time. He's the best. I love this cute little guy. He is the best kitty. Oh, yeah. So live on your kitties. Don't hurt them. Friday the 13th isn't as bad as people think. Um, enjoy your Friday. Like and subscribe if you like the contents. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.